Before we look at the responses from our interviews, I would like to look at the overall objective of this research project, which was to analyze the Weston study and the UW-Bothell study that both focus on data privacy. Here, people were polled as to whether they were very concerned, moderately concerned, or slightly concerned in terms of their data privacy. In a national study conducted by Weston, it was found that 25% of Americans were very concerned, 57% were moderately concerned, and 18% are slightly or not concerned about their data privacy. In comparison to here at Bothell, 33% of students stated that they were very concerned, 33% of students stated that they were moderately concerned, and 33% said that they were either not concerned or slightly concerned. The overall objective of this research project was to analyze why. We asked each interviewee 2 statements and asked them to rank it from 1 to 10, 10 being agree entirely. The statements were: 1. Consumers have lost all control over their data. 2. I trust the government with my data. Finally, we gave them the responses to both the Weston study and the UW-Bothell study, and asked them to offer any suggestions as to why they thought the data was distributed so differently. The following interviews.
Alright, well, my name is Anthony Dare. My major is interactive media design.
My name is Jeff Galand, and I am a marketing and management business major.
My name is Dakota Kubelik, and my major is business administration with a concentration in marketing.
I'm currently MCS, Media Communication Studies.
My name is Tanya. I'm currently in the health studies major.
I would say probably a 4 or 5.
I'm going to say like 4.
7.
I would say 10.
I would say that's about a 9.
6. I'm like at a 4.
It really depends on the person. I think a lot of people are conscious of how they use their data, especially in the most recent years, but I think a lot of people don't.
I would say most consumers don't know what is actually like on the technology that they're using and the software behind it and what's being done with it, and the amount of data that they're sending back to the people who've made that technology. I feel like a lot of people are unaware of how much people actually know about what they're using and how it's being used.
Because, I mean, pretty much when you put your information out anywhere, there's no real restrictions that are enforceable on anybody to, regulate where your information is going.
Well, actually, in my previous class just today, we were talking about the NSA and how Verizon Wireless and AT&T have given over all of their data to the NSA. Every phone call, whoever you're communicating with, all that, it's all in their system.
Oh, well, I just feel like definitely with our like technology and our like generation and this day and age with everything modernizing, our own privacy is definitely being exploited, and I feel like that's something we should cherish, and that's something that like should be like protected.
Probably a 2 or 3.
I would say a 7.
I'd say 9 on that one.
I would say that's a 5.
I'm kind of at a 6.
I feel like if the government were to use technology in a way that was unsavory in certain aspects, it wouldn't accomplish what they want.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if they're looking over information, they're doing it for a reason, but it's also invasion of privacy because the majority of people are not doing bad things.
You have no reason to be afraid of someone having your data, then you should have nothing to fear. So if you're not doing anything illegal, then what are you worried about?
Like, I do agree that the government should have my information. Like, I'm like a citizen. Like, it's totally fine for them to like know what I am, like my information. I get that, but I don't think it's fair for them to like get the private information.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with it. I don't really have anything to hide.
So, like, for example, someone's like looks up how were bombs made. It could be for a say for a project that they're doing in class, and they're a 5-year-old. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that you are a terrorist. So that's just an example.
I don't know if this is true or not, but people say that if you search it a lot, it becomes like an issue and it can put yourself on, like put your name on the radar. And I think that's totally unfair. Like that's something that I'm searching privately, and that's just something that I want to learn about. And that kind of information has nothing to do with me. That just has to do with my personal knowledge and what I want to gain from it. And that's totally fine with like how liberal we are as a nation.
I feel like that's the only real situation in which they'd be using your data, is if you were doing some kind of criminal activity that warranted the use of the information that they have. And so I honestly don't think it's much of a threat.
Which is more than it is nationally. 33% say that they were moderately concerned, which is a little bit less. And then 33% say that they were either not concerned or slightly concerned. Do you think there's any reason why?
That's actually kind of counter to what I would have thought. I would have thought that with more knowledge of what goes into this technology as college students, I think we understand technology a little bit better than the general population. I would have thought that more people would have felt unfavorably, or would have felt that they were more worried about it. So I actually find that really surprising that that's not the case.
I don't know, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I think that more accurately shows how the youth of our generation, or the youth of our country feels, rather than the bigger study.
People don't know enough about like how privacy is like being changed in our society from like few years ago to now, and I guess that's why like it can be so crazily split. And